Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Monday morning. So Grumpy is in the house. Really, the only reason he's here is it's freaking Monday, and weekend is over. Mind you, your whole like ridiculous Christmas selling people jewelry shit is over. But yeah, the weekend we're back to action over here. That's the only reason Grumpy is here. Otherwise, it was quite the weekend. How was yours?
Not too bad. The Grumpy's probably here for the second half as well, a little bit. Let's be honest. Things could have things could have finished a little bit better, but the weekend was good. I won a fantasy football championship thanks to Caleb Williams and DeAndre Swift, even though they lost. Had Caleb Williams thrown an interception at the very end there, I would have lost. So I'm really glad.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Hit the ground because I was ahead by 1.8 points, and an interception would have taken me to -2. So that last throw, everything was on the line, except for the actual game, which I didn't really care about the result. It was more so just for the championship. So all in all, decent weekend for me.
I did care. I mean, I'm a 49ers fan, obviously. So we were doing the festivities for Layla's birthday was last night. So we were doing, because she's turning 21. So we're basically doing like bar hopping. Well, she turned 21. That was her
21
birthday.
days of drinking.
So we're going from like bar to bar, like having an appetizer and a couple of cocktails on each and like going to different ones. So we went to this one because she wanted to watch the Blackhawks game as well. She's becoming like a huge Blackhawks fan. But anyway, we're there. And then we freaking, of course, with a ton of Bears fans when the Bears game started afterwards. And yeah, it was really freaking annoying. I gotta ask you something about this, by the way. So ask everybody in the chat to see where everybody's with this. Am I only one on this? But anyway, yeah, we watched that, and then we went to another place, and we were following it on our phone. When they were like at the very end over there, we almost went freaking. I was like, let's go back to that bar and talk shit to those Bears fans, because the last one we went to was like a tiki bar. I can't remember. It's 3 Dots and a Dash, I think is the name of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we were there. So it's very non-football crowds. Like, I think we were the only ones following the game kind of a deal. But I want to go back to the other one and talk shit. So we can be like, let's sing now, bitches. Because they were singing Bear Down. But here's the question. And this is what I got on my nerves more than the fact that there were a ton of idiot Bear fans in there. When you see, okay, because there was, the long story is, because I know not our entire audience is like football audience. Yes, I am real right love with this, because I was even like, okay. So the whole thing started because like they had a play where like you can clearly see it was intercepted in the end zone, but there was a flag like literally on the guy next to the guy's feet. And like, you know, he intercepted it and he's going and everybody's celebrating like crazy. And I was like, are you guys not seeing the flag? Like it's next to his foot. And, you know, like they put on the TV flag over there. I was like, what kind of a grown man cannot see that and be like, whoa, right? So here's my question now. I was like, am I just too pessimistic? Because if I see that, I'm not celebrating shit. Angie's theory is I'm kind of scarred partially by VAR because, you know, you can celebrate too early. But in the same sense, if I'm watching... And, you know, bear in mind, I mean, I'm an old farts, but, you know, I wasn't born with football. I started after I came here after college and stuff. When you watch a soccer game, if you guys gets a pass that you thought was way off, like he is clearly offside, are you still celebrating like a maniac when he scores? Or are you like, man, I think he was off? So that's the question. Like, is this me just being pessimistic? Because even when it's close, I'm like... Let's wait. And Stitch and Leo, we're in waiting mode before we run to the snack jar.
Yeah, that I think part of it we've been scarred by VAR. The other part of it, though, I think it depends on what was happening in the play and where the flag was, right? Because in that specific moment, too, you might think it could have been offensive pass interference. It could have been something that was going against the offense rather than against Gardner Johnson. So it could have been, it could have been absolutely fine. So I think, like, for example, if there's a really big run play and you see the flag thing come up, you immediately stop celebrating. Like, okay, it's definitely a hold. It's coming back, right?
Yeah.
So that's
when they say where the flag is. If it's at the line of scrimmage, you're like, oh, it's probably holding. If it's in the end zone, it's most likely defensive holding or pass interference or something like that.
Right. But in the moment, real quickly, especially that place, because at that place specifically, you have that first couple seconds where the interception's going on, and then you get the flag on the screen. So I can understand the celebration for a couple seconds and then being wiped. But yeah, usually for football, at least, it really depends on where the flag has been thrown and what happened on the play to then warrant or not warrant a celebration.
So you do celebrate a goal where you were like,
no, that's completely different. No, that's completely different. I don't do that. No.
How is that different?
This is apples and oranges. It's not oranges to oranges.
It's not apples and oranges.
Yes, it is. It's not the same thing. What are you talking about?
Okay, chat, is this apples and oranges? That's what I want to know. Because I don't see it as apples. It's basically knowing the sports, what happens, and reacting accordingly as an adult. Like if you're like 12, you can go ape shits. But as an adult, having seen it all, if you will, aren't you like, wait, guys, this is probably going to be coming back.
But
like you said, when you run play, you don't get excited because in experience, you know, hey, this is probably coming back.
And then that answers your question. I don't get excited the same way that I don't celebrate a goal if I know the guy's offside. But if it's a throw to the end zone and there's a flag in the end zone, it could go either way. So you don't always know. Usually it's on the defense.
So I'm basically, okay, so maybe I'm over pessimistic because if it's in the end zone, I'm like, it's on the defense. Well, 90% of the time it is.
Most of the time it is. Yeah. And
so it's because he's wide open somehow, and you're like, he was shadily wide open kind of a thing. But
yeah, it's one of those things too. I mean, I know it was hilarious because I'll pop into Reddit to look at game threads for specific games and whatnot. And you will always have fan of team A saying, this game is rigged. The NFL wants this matchup. Fan of team B going, this game is rigged. The NFL wants this matchup. And it's like, guys, they're just missing calls or making calls both ways. It just happens. And it happens in every sport.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, as much as betting is getting obnoxious, I'm getting more and more skeptical on like, you know, what they're doing, or like, can they be really this good at calling lines? Sometimes I wonder, like when you bet on something, it's like, they're like, the line was 2.5 and it ends by 3 points. I'm like, can they be this good over and over and over again? I think I find that freaking like crazy over there. But I guess that's the good news. Yes, we are up to the 4. So Saturday was good in that sense. I mean, I don't know, where are you at with this? Like, you watched that game. I think that's 2 games in a row where it's a win, it's 3 points, but I'm like exhausted from being frustrated at the end. Not because it was like I mean, in some ways, I guess it was a nail biter, but some games you're exhausted because of the tension. And these last 2 times I was exhausted because of like just like frustration and madness. You're like, what are we doing over here, kind of a thing. So where are you at? Because ultimately it is 3 points.
It is ultimately 3 points. And when you look at I think comment of the week so far, but look, you guys know this is Monday. Anything goes. Anything goes on Monday. So yes. Sir Z, Jamie, you guys know if it's a Monday, we'll talk about anything but Liverpool. But here we are. So I think in looking at it from like a bigger perspective, being in 4th place, being 10 points off first, with having the poor stretch of several months that we had, I think it's a very positive sign to look at it. You look at the last 7 games, no defeats, right? Very positive sign. When you start to really nitpick and look, I mean, you have to nitpick because we're evaluating each game as they go, right? Yeah. You could talk about Leeds, that being not a great result, even though it still wasn't a loss. You can talk about having our backs against the ropes to a 9-man Spurs, and then having our backs to the rope against a 2-point all-season Wolves side, who look like possibly the worst team the Prem has ever seen. But you still come away with 3 points there, which is really big. And I know the most frustrating thing is how shaky this team looks after conceding. The first half was great, right? We had really great performances. The first 15 minutes of the second half weren't so great. And then I don't know if it's more of a slot tactical thing or if it's a more mental player thing. I guess that was something I wanted to ask you is, do you think that the plan when they go 2-1 is to sit back and absorb pressure? Or is the plan to recycle and hold the ball? The players just are too tired or mentally not there to do it. Because I think when you look at the bench yesterday, there wasn't a whole lot of depth. There wasn't much that you could bring on to really change the game going forward, I guess, right? You could bring Gakpo in, but that was for the last couple minutes. I'd argue, bringing Bradley on was the right move. Obviously, he had a game-saving tackle at the end. But you don't want to then put at risk your two right backs that you have healthy, right? I think, and I also saw some people talking about next against Leeds, you should go Frimpong right wing, Dom right mid, and Bradley right back. And it's just like, well, that's all your eggs in one basket again. That's the downside. So I'm going all over the place now. Going back to Saturday, 3 points. It is what it is. Wirtz looked fantastic. Hugo looks great. Kirkez looks so much better with Wirtz on the left than Gakpo on the left. I loved Frimpong being able to actually break the lines when teams are in lower block. I think that's what he was brought in for, was being able to break those lines on that right side. And he is so rapid that he can get back in a flash. I think there was a moment, it was like the 12th or 13th minute, Konate fumbled the pass, and Frimpong was nearly by the box and got back to the other end of the box within, I don't know, like 6 seconds, something ridiculous. So there were good signs. The bad signs are just the frailty after conceding and set pieces, man. Just what is going on?
Shelton says most of them look gassed by the 60th minutes, and I think that's what it was. I think the initial, after they concede, the first 5 minutes was more panic. Right, here we go again. And I think that's kind of like this team is still pretty fragile, I think. So that comes from that. They were like kind of panicky. After that, I think they are trying to close it out slot style, but they're too tired to be able to do it, is what it looked like. And the press up top totally stopped because Ekitike could barely walk around. So when that stops, I mean, obviously it's a lot more on the midfield and defense and makes everybody else look bad. And you did not have anybody to say, okay, you go in now. Like in the past, like Ekitike would come in, maybe Isak comes in, or, Gakpo comes out, like somebody else comes in, or like, that's why you put Chiesa in or something like that. I mean, in the past, we would take Diaz out, like Gakpo would come in, or we would put another midfielder and stuff like that in the past, and you just could not do anything from that bench. I think that's what really hurt us. And that's the thing. I can't even be like, why isn't he doing this? I know people were like, oh, like, throw in Rio. I was fine with that even the last 5-10 minutes. Like, you don't need to score anymore. You just need somebody who can kind of run and pressure the ball. Because it drives me nuts when you are shaky inside the box when the balls keep coming in, because we are like a freaking, I was like, holy cow. That's why when he took, who did he take out? I was like, okay, good. Like, let's get some size in here, because we're just too freaking small in the box right now. But when we just let people just cross, like look up 2-3 seconds and cross, but that's because Ekitike could not run. Like, your wingers could not press, and they had like all day to be able to send balls into the box. And honestly, any team, I don't care if it's just us who put a team together, if you keep lobbing balls into the box, occasionally you're going to get lucky where it lands somewhere so you can kind of like take a shot or something like that. So that's, I think, what it was, more than like being tactical, saying like, okay, sit on this and counter them or anything like that. But yeah, that's when you look at the bench and you're like, when you only have like 12, 13 healthy players that are like, Premier League game ready, this is what you're going to get. And you had people playing who normally would not play 90 minutes, like Frimpong and Chiesa, like so many guys. I mean, Ekitike never finishes 90. So there were so many bodies out there that only give you 60, 70 minutes. I guess the bigger concern is, how is that still possible at the end of December, that you are not up to 90 minutes in the Premier League? Will you ever be? I don't know. Like, Bradley, I never seen Bradley play like 90, I don't think. But yeah, that's, I think, what's made it ugly at the end. A lot of positive signs, though, like you're saying. I think, it's, you look at Wirtz. I thought defensive play overall was better. You can kind of say, hey, it's because it's Wolves. But, you can only play who's against you. I thought they did well overall, despite what was being sent our way. Ultimately, it's still like a Premier League, well, more like a championship team, to be fair. But still, they're like doing their best. They had a couple of quality guys and stuff. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's like too nervy. I think the thing that gets to me is we play so goddamn slow. And I took that as Like, I'll ask you that. I mean, that's the problem? Like, when somebody's sitting back, and I'm not one of these guys who are like, they keep passing sideways. That's fine. That's part of the game. But it's so slow. Like, it's like, oh, let me take it 3 touches, give it to the guy 10 feet away from me. It's not like you're changing wings sideways or coming back so you can switch around or something like that. It is so slow. Do you think that's like basically how we're going to play now? Or was that them almost resting on the ball, knowing they knew, hey, we're going to have to get to 90 with who's out here. So let's take a breather over here. Let's pass amongst ourselves for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, that might have been part of that, but we've seen this throughout the year, right? In different moments of matches and not just towards the end of matches. And that was something that maybe you've touched on it before. We've talked about there were some fans that are split on Henderson because they complain about him being a sideways passing merchant, but he was able to move the ball a lot quicker going sideways too. He wouldn't sit on it, right? He would be able to change the wing right away, make sure that then play started from right to left, left to right, whatever needed to be done. He wouldn't sit on the ball, let the defense make up their shape, and then pass the ball, right? I think that's the worst part, is that by taking too much time on the ball, you're letting the defense get into the shape that they want to be in. The whole point of going side to side is to get the defense out of the shape. So the slower you go, the quicker they get into shape, right? So I think the nice thing is, I think you popped that comment up, is that Sobo got a rest, and then he'll be able to be back for Leeds and will allow one of those midfielders to get a break too. I think Maka needs a break. He just doesn't look like the same midfielder from last year, and it's hard to understand why. I mean, maybe he's just had way too much football the last 3 years, from Brighton to Argentina to Liverpool, and just not having a break at all for a long time, that he's just, I don't know, just weathered. Because he is, I know he's only 27, which should be kind of the prime of your career. But in some ways, if the legs have been run off of you in the last 3 years, 27 is starting to get to that point where it's just like, maybe there is something to look at here, where he's probably one of the few guys on a list of players who could go in the summer, and we wouldn't be surprised at this point. So I think overall, the shape of the midfield looks really good at times when there's a little, when they play quickly but not out of pace, right? Like there's a difference between playing rushed and playing quickly, right? You still have to make the right decisions. And I think right now, towards the end, they were just trying to catch a breath, but they weren't making the best decisions. And so I think moving forward, we're going to see, with more depth, hopefully, a better finish to the last 15, 20 minutes, because they're going to need it. They're not going to be able to sustain that kind of pressure against teams with actual finishers up top.
Because that's the thing. It didn't feel, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but the Spurs game, it felt like, oh, it's any second, they're coming. Like, like it felt like they had momentum and they had the chances as well. Whereas this one was like, it wasn't necessarily, oh my God, it's coming. It was more like, we're asking for it. And, Murphy's Law, something bad is going to happen. I did not feel as threatened by watching the game. It was more like the pessimistic Liverpool fan side of me saying, like, watch, these guys are going to get like a stupid goal from like a corner or something like that, and we're going to like draw this game after being up 2-0. I mean, I felt, by the way, that was part of it. I mean, for people saying like, like it was the legs, I think it was the legs after 60. But what I did not like is the beginning of the second half. It just looked like a team that came out there. And hey, as a fan, I thought that game was over too at halftime. I was like, oh, good. Maybe we can get 3, like, Ramsey will come in, get people some rest minutes, and, like gets, like rests, even though you don't have a bench kind of a deal. But I can afford to say that, go get another cup of coffee or whatever. But it felt like they came out to be like, okay, so we're just going to walk around for 45 minutes and go home. And you can't do that in the Premier League. I don't care who you're playing against.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe there's part of the emotional side of that game specifically. I know we will never be able to fully speak on that topic of it, but there had to be some sort of emotional tension and pressure from especially players who had played with Diogo. And I think like you read Ibu's post, for example, afterwards, saying, you know, this was the one match in my career I would have never wanted to miss. Like that kind of pressure can make you make decisions that you typically don't make. I mean, maybe not for Ibu's sake, because we've seen them make those decisions just regardless. But when you look at it across the team too, you know, that's something that maybe having too much emotional pressure on yourself then tired you out and made you make bad decisions even more. I don't know. I think there might have been a touch of that. I'm not going to say that there was or wasn't, but there could have been.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I really like this post there, by the way. But I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a short or a reel, whatever you want to call it, released by, it was on the Liverpool channel, and it shows a bit more of like the little kids and, you know, like the team's interaction with them and stuff like that, like before they go out in the tunnel and all that kind of stuff. And man, that's really tough. I think like we kind of like overlooked that, because not only like look at these kids and you see Diogo, because like one of them was freaking Diogo. But aside from that, you know, you look at it and you're like, I don't know about everybody else, but when you see something like this, or when something like this happens, you automatically kind of like reflect it to your own life. And, you know, like, so a bazillion thoughts go through your head, especially for all these guys who are like freaking like who have kids and stuff like that too. And a lot of these guys who just had babies and they're like newly married and stuff. So as they see this, I'm sure they kind of reflect. So there's a lot of like emotions going on. I don't think that's part of the game, like in the second half. Like, I don't think that has an impact at all, but it has to, day in and day out, have a lot of like impact on these guys. Ozan says 9 games in January. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's not, you have Leeds and then Fulham and then Arsenal. So like 9 points up for grabs there. You got to kind of get the first 6. And then, is it fair to say, I was looking at this and I know the critic and the skeptical.
Say it.
Regardless of what we do, they're not going to be convinced until this team wins a big game.
We're
like,
back
even if you beat Leeds and go beat Fulham, everybody's going to be like, well, yeah, you're supposed to beat those. Like, if your goal is to be skeptical, they're going to say, well, you're supposed to beat those. Even though, you know, that would be like, what, 5 or 6 wins in a row or whatever. But are you at the same spots, or are you like, we're on the right track already?
I mean, isn't that so annoying? Because year after year, whoever wins the title, when they beat teams they should beat, the narrative is always, yeah, they should have beat them. Yes, they should have, because they're supposed to win the league, right? You can't use that as oh yeah, they're supposed to because they're going to win the league, and then also use that as oh well, they were supposed to because they're a worse team and they're supposed to be a better team. It's the same argument. So I thought you were going to say we're back in the title race. That's
no.
Look,
I'm not there yet. I'm not that optimistic.
Beat Leeds, beat Fulham, beat Arsenal at the Emirates. You're within, and let's say Arsenal drop another point. You're within 6 points. I mean, I don't know. It's
see, I think the math part doesn't seem that obnoxious. I think the issue is we're looking at how we're playing, and I don't take it as, oh, it's clicking, baby. Like, there are certain spots that you're like, you see Veers, for example, you're like, oh, he's going to be like, you know, he's going to make a huge difference in some big games. He's going to have like a huge, like, he's going to have one of these games. Like, it could be like the Arsenal away game, for example, where he wins you the game. And that's when he's going to be like, oh, it's coming up party. I mean, you could see when he's going, and can we like just fuck off? Can we just watch these games silent? Because it is so freaking annoying where adults whose job is to critique the game are too lazy to just look at numbers. And he's like, yeah, Veers impact and stuff like that. Watch the fucking games. Like, you know, like I can have anybody over here grab somebody from the streets who never watches the game, and I can be like, hey, you think this guy is going good? Not by these numbers. I mean, they would just look at and be like, doesn't look like it's a, you know, it's a flop to me. And then they would just walk away if you ask the guy on the street. But somebody in the freaking sport whose job professionally gets paid to do it should have a lot more perspective than just looking at stats and be like, he doesn't have assistant goals, so I guess he sucks, kind of a thing. It was so freaking annoying.
He's been the best player on the pitch the last 4 or 5 games, and there's no coincidence that's happened when Mo hasn't been part of the team too, right? I think it's one of those worlds where you have to, if you're going to let Wirtz operate the way you want him to operate, Mo can't be on the pitch because it clashes, right? I think going back to this team not clicking and not being convinced that they're in the title race, I would also say that the other teams aren't as convincing either, though, because this Wolves side that we've just talked about being one of the worst sides ever, Arsenal needed 2 own goals to beat them a couple weeks ago, right? It's not like they had a comfortable win against them either. And I think the overall strength from Villa, Chelsea, United, Sunderland, Brentford, Palace to an extent, I think there's enough quality towards the top that will make things interesting against Arsenal and City. So I was joking and saying that, you know, Liverpool's back in the title race. I don't fully believe that, but I think there is room where, especially in January, City have a couple bad fixtures, Arsenal have a couple bad fixtures, a couple results go a couple ways, and all of a sudden there's a four-way race for the title, right? So I don't think it's absurd to think. If anything, it should give fans of this club hope to think that the stretch that this club has been through has been so bad, but yet they only have 3 losses or 3 wins less than the likes of City and Arsenal. I think that's something to take positively. So I don't know. It's not maybe as realistic, but I'm not saying it's impossible. And how great. I know we don't really care about doing this to other fans because we've got a lot more things going on in our life to worry about it. But how great would it be to see Arsenal fans absolutely implode after having a 10-point lead at Christmas, right? And then just completely bottling the league, even if it's the City. I don't care, right? I mean, that's what I'm in it for now, is them just bottle it.
Anybody but Arsenal is where I'm at for some reason as well. Jamie says, cannot underestimate the power of syncing up LFC. See, I don't want necessarily, it's not because I want like a Homer more Liverpool friendly thing. I just want whoever is commentating to be, I got to be able to respect what the hell they're saying. And I think it's a very, very lazy for somebody in football to say, just look at numbers and evaluate somebody, because anybody can do that. Don't get paid for it. Let's just give $10 to the guy across the streets and he can do the same thing. I mean, you got to bring some kind of a perspective, some kind of, your own angle and stuff. That's just what drives me crazy over there. Josh, good morning, sir. He says, can you guys tell me if Chelsea are over or underachieving? That's a good one. Where are you at with this? Because I
just say they're achieving. They're just on the line. I think
they're surviving.
I think they're in a much better position than they have been, given the money that was spent. You could argue that they're underachieving, because if you will say that Liverpool is underachieving with the money they've spent, then Chelsea have definitely been underachieving with the money they've spent. I guess the only way you could look at it is, well, Liverpool is off the back of winning the league, whereas Chelsea is not. And so the comparison then is a little bit different. But I think Chelsea has also been doing this without Cole Palmer as well, who was pretty much their engine last year. So to be fighting for a Champions League spot, I think, what are they, a couple points outside of fourth?
I think we just got past them with that last game.
I think that, weirdly enough, I think they're right on that line. I don't think they're underachieving or overachieving. I think if they were competing at 39, 40 points and being up there with Arsenal and City, I would maybe consider an overachievement. But I think this is exactly where we expect them to be, based on what they've been going through and how much they spent and what they've had to, I guess, come back from as far as poor results and the management carousel they've been through.
See, I feel like they're underachieving, but that's on their own. I mean, we see how much we go through because we finally spent a lot of money and there's a bunch of new players. I mean, Chelsea is doing this to themselves. Every time you feel like, okay, they got it. They just need this and this. They go get another like 9 guys. So it's like, okay, now we gotta bet these guys in. And then right when you say, oh, I think they're getting this, oh, we get another 6 guys in. How about these guys? And it's just, I think they're kind of like causing their own turnover. It's not like these guys are dropping off because of injuries and stuff. I know you like mentioned Cole Palmer, he was out for a while, but yeah, I feel like they're underachieving in the sense that they should be doing better having spent what they've spent, if they were a bit more consistent and patient with some of their parts. I think it's just like, everybody gets 2 looks and then they're like, yep, I guess this is not working. Let's get another winger. Let's get another center forward. It's just constant turnover. I mean, last year, I thought in the earlier part of the season, they were overachieving and they were kind of under the radar. I think that's the thing. It's a young team. Somebody mentioned that like they're very young. It's a young team, so they were like under the radar, so they were really doing well. The moment they started showing up on the radar, things collapsed because they were not ready for it, like they're ready to be the center of attention. See, I feel like that was last season. Though. This season, they came in as, oh, we made these moves to finish off the project kind of a thing. And I think they're just not there yet. Like, I don't see it goes back to what you're saying. As poor as we have been, we're above them. I think that has to be underachieving.
But okay, so I guess coming into the season, what was the expectation for them? Top 4, top 5?
I would definitely say top 4, and like maybe a challenge at the title.
Okay,
Nowhere near the challenge at the title.
If it's a challenge at the title, then yes, they're underachieving. But I think if you came into the year, like I kind of just assumed they would be part of the race for Champions League. They're right there. So I think that's how I'm looking at it. Because in my head, I was looking at them being somewhere between 3rd and 5th, and that's where they are.
Well, that was probably realistic, but I would think Chelsea did not come to the season having spent a lot of money and said, "Hey, I mean, we spent all this money. We should at least be 4th, right?" Kind of a thing. I'm assuming they were like, I mean, Bob says the Garnacho thing. I mean, that's like what Chelsea does, right? They're like, you guys got a winger, we'll take him. But like Neto, I mean, like I would love to have Neto come off the bench for us.
Mm-hmm.
I would love Joao Pedro to come off the bench for us. Not maybe start for us, though. That's a different story. But I think that's the problem. Like you can list a ton of names that they're like, they won the Club World Cup, so I think top 3 was the realistic expectation, says Serzi. I think so. I mean, I don't think they started the season, but hey, at the same time, maybe that's Club World Cup thing. We all thought, hey, we're not there, so we're gonna have fresh legs at the end of the season. These guys are not, kind of a deal going into the season. We'll see how that turns out once we get to February, March, and stuff like that over there. But I think they have enough talents where they should be doing a lot better. Chelsea being tight contracts as well as our Liverpool referencing with the spendings. But I mean, here's the thing. Chelsea has been spending this every freaking summer. Like every freaking summer. I know they're selling too, but they're constantly like rotating over there. So yeah, and that's like a mentality thing as well. I don't think they're ready to go in a title race. I think people kind of like overestimate or underestimate, I should say, the mental toll that takes. Like you have to win every freaking game. I think if you go into a season saying Champions League is the goal, you don't have to win every game. You have to be pretty solid. But when you're in a title race, that's a lot of pressure to have to win every freaking game you go out there. And I don't think these guys are ready. What was your take on Arsenal in October when everyone was in love with them? I don't know. I feel like Arsenal is very similar to what they were. I thought Eze would make a bigger difference there, and he has not. That, they would find goals a lot easier. Where they're still, I mean, we called them last year set piece FC. And I think, going back to being mentally strong, that team does not do good when the person behind them in the rear mirror is doing really fast and approaching. I mean, to the fact, I think City is favored right now to win it.
Yeah,
that says a lot by itself. They're behind points, but they're still favored just by like the experience and stuff.
That happened in so many seasons.
Yes,
the last 10 seasons. It's always didn't matter. City could have been 10 points behind. They're still slight favorites. You're like, who's making these odds? And they were usually right anyway. It's I was gonna say I think if we go back and watch some of our shows in October and Monday, on Mondays, I think we were also still skeptical. I don't think either of us felt like it was a runaway.
Maybe we were skeptical because we didn't want them to win too, but there's
that's part of it. Yeah.
It was better to be. It was more stylish to be skeptical of them because anybody with Arsenal. I never thought I would say this, but I would root for City to win that thing before freaking Arsenal. I'd rather have Bernardo Silva win than Arteta. It's like death is not an option. But yeah, I would rather probably have that. Let me ask you this, because posted on social media, that post has gone apeshits on our page right now, was Chiesa's performance. The man that everybody wanted was out there playing as starting 11. It was like that gladiator thing. It's like, are you not entertained? Like, it's just like, here's Chiesa for you, kind of. Where are you at with his performance over there? Because I thought it was way overblown. That how is he not getting a start? Why is he not getting minutes and stuff? Well, here you got minutes. What do you think?
I think it was like a classic 5.5, 6 out of 10 performance. That's where I would sit on that. I remember, I think back a couple weeks ago or months ago, whatever, I said something along the lines of, the true test of what we feel like Chiesa will be on the pitch is when he is in a meaningful match with the strongest 11 around him possible. This is what we got on Saturday. Yep. A meaningful match with the strongest 11 possible. And what you got from Chiesa was just, I think, what most of us, maybe half, I don't know, expected, like a decent work rate, decent press, but not a whole lot beyond that, right? I think on the ball, there were a couple of moments where it seemed like the game was just too quick for him. I don't think he's cut out for the Prem as far as like a classic winger that can take on men with dribbling, because he can't dribble as well as he used to anymore, I think. And maybe it's not fair because he's gone through the injuries he's gone through, and it is what it is, but you have to just judge him based on what you saw. And I think, will he get another start or two in the Prem this year? Maybe, but are we going to be clamoring for it as much as some of us have been? I don't think we should. But the other part of it too is kind of going back to earlier, people predicting lineups for Leeds. You don't necessarily want to throw out Frimpong, Sobo, and Bradley on the right side because you don't want to risk one of those guys getting hurt, especially between Frimpong and Bradley, and then losing your depth again at the right back position. So then you're like, all right, well then, do we throw Chiesa back out there again because you don't want to lose that depth between Frimpong and Bradley? Because this hurts to say, but losing Chiesa hurts less than losing Frimpong or Bradley, right? Like, you don't want to make it sound bad that you want to have a player injured, but if someone were to get injured, the impact for them on the squad is less than the impact that those other two would have. So I think, it was an average performance. I think it was what I expected to see. It was just something that he was going to give good work rate. He was going to look great with his hair. And then beyond that, it was like, all right, that's Fede. So.
Yeah, I just didn't know. Like, it was like interesting. There's like 112 comments on that thing already. And play for Italy gets good. He's not ready. I mean, that's the thing. And this is the thing, right? The free Chiesa thing. I just did not understand the over the top. How is he not playing and stuff? I mean, you saw that. I think I agree with Dave over here. Hey, long time no see, by the way, Dave. Chiesa is more effective as a quick fire 20 minutes. I think so. Is he like the Divock of which we used to get some?
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Like last minute guy, but we did get some good performances from Divock as like a winger and stuff like that in the past when he started to in the early club days. But maybe that's what it is. I've been saying this for a while. He's always come in and they're like, oh, he's like, ever since he came in, we created more. Well, it's been the last 10 minutes where everybody is in the box, like hanging out for dear life. So it's kind of like similar to what we went against Wolves. When that's psychologically, you kind of like, get sucked into your goal to protect the goal kind of a deal. So then, there's going to be more situations. You're going to look more dominant and stuff. I never saw the whole, even when we won, they were like, people would come in after a win and be like, how come Chiesa doesn't play anymore? It's like, what the fuck? Like, we just won. Like, why does it matter if he's playing or not? But I think he's a very likable guy. You see his effort, you see his passion. It's the same reason why we watched Nunez for 3 seasons, even though 6 months was put off probably enough to make a judgment, because you kind of like the effort and you want the guy to succeed, as opposed to, some guy who's coming in and going through the motions, or good one day, bad another and stuff. But super sub, I mean, would you even consider him a super sub?
I mean, maybe not a super sub, but there's nothing wrong with that, right? You need those kinds of players. Because you need someone to come in the last 15, 20 minutes and put in the energy that they put in, knowing that they're going to make the most out of the 15, 20. Because there's some bench players that you can put in who go through the motions, like you're saying, for the 15, 20 minutes, don't really make an impact. So it's okay to have those kinds of players. You need those kinds of players in a team like this, where you are competing across 3 competitions now, and you need that depth, and you need the ability to be able to put them on and not lose a ton of quality. But it's one of those things where, it was only a 60-minute stretch. We can't necessarily, I guess, criticize him too harshly for the one appearance, but you can get a lot out of seeing a player amongst the strongest 11 they have around them and see what they can do, to get a good idea of what they're capable of when you combine it with all the stuff you've seen them do before.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It just felt like, it would have been great, like we were talking earlier, right? How we had tire legs and stuff. It would have been great to be able to introduce him onto the game against Wolves, to bring some energy, to bring some press and stuff like that, have defending a lot better if you had some fresh legs out there. But you just knew that he was not going to be there's always an idiot in the comments. Gotta love it. It is Monday.
Thanks for the engagement, though.
We appreciate the engagement. Thanks for your valuable stupid comments. But hey, it helps us. Thanks to you. Now some other Liverpool fan might see this and come talk shit back to you. So nice name, by the way. It only makes it better that they're a United fan. I think it's so funny, because I can't wait to talk to my brother when we do the Rival Bros. But I was seeing posts all these United fans so excited about we're getting so much better and stuff, and we're having a historically bad season and we're still above United. So that has to hurt. Shelton says, my brother is not that stupid. So you're a Madrid fan too. It's like a plastic bottle commenting in the comments, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, what's the point of then commenting on a Liverpool? Don't you have a Barcelona page to go troll? I bet you anything it's like some 13-year-old kid from somewhere that wouldn't make sense to root for Madrid, and it's only, I guess, I don't know, that's kind of the pot calling the kettle black, because we're overseas as well. But
real quick, I know we both have to run earlier today, but anyone expecting a spending spree of more than one signing or clutching extra? What do you expect out of January? It is 'tis the season. It's even better to I can't even fight it anymore.
Out of January, gosh, it's so difficult because of Isak getting hurt, because of Leone being out for a while, because of Mo being gone for AFCON. It would make sense to have something, some center back to come in. I don't expect there to be a huge signing. Maybe a stopgap kind of signing at center back would be really nice. Like a Nico Schlotterbeck would be kind of cool. But if there is anything, I don't think Semenyo is going to happen. I don't think Guehi's going to happen. I don't think a defensive mid is going to happen. I don't know. Unless the people up top really feel like they need Guehi for this stretch. And I would argue that it would make most sense for a Champions League run more than anything. Then I would see that happen. But other than that, I just don't think there's going to be much business.
See, I think Guehi happens. I don't know why I'm getting this feeling, but I think Guehi happens because of the homegrown numbers that, Rare Bellin is talking about. Because I think that, it's a move you almost have to make. You have to get somebody that's going to count as homegrown in there. I think that does happen. But I do think we do spend and we get some moves done. Even if it's like, Art's going to make room, like you move Endo or loan him out or something like that to Bundesliga, so you bring somebody else. And I think FSG is smart enough. If we were number 2, like 6 points behind, I don't think this would happen. But when you got to guarantee yourself Champions League football, if nothing else for financial reasons. So I think you do make some moves to guarantee that. Harvey might come back. I think that'll be another body in midfield, because at this point, you like this weekend show that you do need some bodies, like to be able to come into the game. Would have loved to see Elliott come into that game the last 15-20 minutes, start a counter and stuff like that. Shelton Sanionia, but he actually counts as homegrown, so you gotta hang on to some of these young guys. But I think Endo is the only name, and Chiesa is the other name that comes to mind, to be honest with you, where you can maybe loan him to Serie A so he plays to go to the World Cup. That's going to be a big thing, I think, because there's the World Cup. Guys like, Endo and Chiesa and stuff like that might want more playing time, which might help you in terms of like moving them and stuff like that. But thanks for all those joining us this morning. Do hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Spread the words. Interact with all our socials. If you're not subscribed, we're all over the place: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be back tonight.
The best way to guarantee Champions League next year is to win the Champions League. Then on that note, we're out.
Yes, I already called this, so everybody knows. No need to get excited. We're winning the Champions League anyway. But I'll be back tonight for more predictions. Stay tuned tonight at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern for the Monday Night Podcast. Have an awesome week, everybody. See you guys soon. Take care.